Hello everyone, welcome to the third episode of the Might of the Rajputs, which is our series. And if you haven't watched the previous episodes, then the link must be flashing somewhere right here. Make sure you check those out before you continue this video. Well then, without any further delay, let's begin. In the last episode, we saw how the fight was all about defending Sindh and Rajasthan. Well, for the next 300 years, until the end of the 10th century, which is the 900s, until then, all those Rajput clans and families which are mentioned in the previous videos defended the land of Sindh and Afghanistan for these 300 years continuously, because many small skirmishes which have been mentioned in the Indian records multiple times happened between the Arabs and sometimes the Iranians and many ethnicities with the Rajputs, mostly the Rajputs, sometimes the Jats of India. Now, in this episode, we are going to talk about what happened 300 years after the last video. I mean, whatever was explained in the last video. I'll name some of the dynasties which defended India throughout these 300 centuries, which are Gurjar Pratiharas, Solankis, Bhojas, and the Turk Shahis. The Turk Shahis reigned in the northwestern region of India, or I would say Bharat, which is Afghanistan, modern day Afghanistan. The word Turk Shahis may not sound, it does not sound very Bharatian or very Indian, but they weren't Turks and they weren't followers of Islam. They were rather followers of older Iranian religion, Hinduism and Buddhism. So that is like a different name but a very different culture which they used to follow. So they were the dynasty. This was the dynasty who was fighting in Afghanistan against the Turks, which had converted to Islam, or the Persians. And later, their vassals, who were the Hindu Shahis, they took over once this dynasty could not sustain. So just to have some fun, let me name some of the kings of the Turk Shahi dynasty. So it's Barra Tegin, Tegin Shah, Fromo Kesaro, Lagu Turman, and all of these, though they don't sound very Hindu or very Indian names, but these rulers were very much connected to the culture of Bharat. The Turk Shahis held off the invaders for 250 years, and after them, they were replaced by the Hindu Shahi dynasty, which was found by Kallar. Many Hindu Shahi kings like Samanta, Lalliya, Toramana, Bhimdev reigned, and after them came a person called Jaipala. His name gave the family name Pala to the next generations of the family. Well then, now that we have the protagonist of today's video, let us introduce the antagonist. Jaipala had to face Mahmud of Ghazni. Yes, the same Mahmud Ghazni about whom you must have heard in your history textbooks. Mahmud of Ghazni was the son of a person called Sabuktagin. Sabuktagin was a Turkic slave, and he used to work for another Turkic slave commander whose name was Alptegin. After Alptegin died, seat of power, I would say, of Central Asia moved to Sabuktagin. It did not move, he obviously took it, but well, moved. And his son, Mahmud Ghazni, joined him in all his fights after this. And that's when the struggle between the Hindu Shahis and the Ghaznavids began. Mahmud of Ghazni's sister was married to a person called Gazi Sayyid Salar Sahu, whose son was Gazi Sayyid Salar Masud. Remember this guy, very important in the next part of the video. It is said, it is in many of the books written by the chroniclers of Mahmud of Ghazni, that apparently he had a lover whose name, like a guy, by lover I mean a guy, and but then because Mahmud of Ghazni was a very pious Muslim, he pushed away that person because he was very true to his faith. Well, I don't know if this was true or false, but it is written in the books written by his people. So I don't know, but this shows how much dedicated he was towards what he believed in, like his faith. Okay, then let's begin with the battles. Remember, the Shahis were once a part of the Pushyabhuti Empire. Back when Samrat Harshavardhan ruled from Kannauj, these clans fought on the front lines, knowing that if they got into trouble, the Samrat would come with a huge army. But when Harshavardhan died without an heir, there was no one left to lead a united Bharat. I have explained this in detail in the first episode, so check that out if you haven't already. As Sabuktigin and Mahmud sought to expand their power in the northwest, the Hindu Shahis faced a critical challenge. In 988 CE, the forces of Jaipal clashed with Sabuktigin at the fort of Guzak, located between Ghazni and Lamghan. This battle ended in Jaipala's defeat, leading to the 3 years of skirmishes and territorial disputes between the two kingdoms. Despite the notion that Bharatiyas were never united, Jaipal understood the threat posed by the Ghaznavids. Even when he appeared to be alone, he rallied support from the neighboring kingdoms like the Gurjar Pratiharas, Tomaras, Chahamanas, Chandelas, who sent their armies to aid him. While Jaipal lost the first battle, he continued the fight, even signing a peace treaty with Sabuktigin that he later broke. From 988 CE till 911 CE, the conflict persisted, culminating in another battle at Lagman. After a fierce battle, the Hindu forces ultimately retreated, and Jaipal faced defeat once again, having to sign another treaty and cede territory. Year 997 CE, after Sabuktigin's death, Mahmud took over the Ghaznavid throne, reigniting the struggle against the Hindu Shahis. In 1001 CE, they met again at Peshawar, where Jaipala's forces were decisively defeated. Overwhelmed by guilt, Jaipal publicly acknowledged his failure as a king and protector of his people. He coronated his son Anandpal and in the final act of despair, immolated himself, marking a tragic end to his valiant fight against the invaders. Jaipala's legacy would live on through his descendants who continued the struggle against the Ghaznavids and fought to preserve the Hindu civilization. Anandpal, the brave son of Jaipal, led a formidable army of 30,000 Gakhra warriors into battle against Mahmud of Ghazni at Chach. Victory seemed within reach until Anandpala's elephant panicked amidst the chaos of battle, triggering a stampede that sent his troops fleeing because they believed that their commander had abandoned them. This sudden turn led to a crushing defeat, forcing Anandpal to sign a peace treaty before his untimely death. His son Trilochanpal took over, and after that came Bhimpal. Bhimpal inherited a very much fractured kingdom but still continued the fight, and that's when the king Sangram Raj of Kashmir came to his aid. In 1014 CE, Mahmud targeted the Shahi capital of Nandana. Even though Bhimpal initially outmaneuvered Mahmud of Ghazni, because of the constant pressure and constant attack, the Hindu forces had to eventually retreat. After this, Mahmud of Ghazni focused his attention on Kashmir because he wanted to punish the king of Kashmir for helping the Hindu Shahis. He attacked the fort of Loharkot twice but failed both the times because of the relentless defense of the Loharkot fort, the soldiers of Kashmir, and the weather, because weather and the attack, he could not survive both, so he had to retreat both the times. He basically lost in Kashmir. Throughout his reign from 998 CE till 1030 CE, Mahmud of Ghazni launched a 54-year-old ambitious campaign into India, invading it continuously, driven by desire for wealth, power, and something else which we will be talking about soon. His encounters with the kings like the Vidyadhar of the Chandela dynasty ended up in Mahmud retreating and losing 15 fortresses, although you cannot exactly know if it was a treaty which was signed or whether it was a draw, but he didn't win, right, technically. During all this time, these individual Rajput and Jat rulers who did not have a center of power used to fight Mahmud of Ghazni on their own. individual. Like he used to come with his entire force, and these small kings used to still fight him. He used to lose, but they used to still fight him. Every time he would attack any place. He burnt Mathura. He burnt many places. He looted. His own people have given like those accounts are exaggerated, but even if you reduce the number of the slaves and the money which he has taken, it is still a lot, right? And even after all of this, people were still fighting Mahmud of Ghazni the whole time. That surely shows the unwavering spirit of fighting for their culture and land, which is shown by the Rajputs. It's often claimed, or people have this misconception, that Mahmud of Ghazni attacked the Somnath temple for 17 times. Well, that is not correct. He invaded Bharat 17 times, but it was only his 16th invasion which was focused on looting the Somnath temple site. Mahmud attacked many cities other than Somnath. They were Mathura, Thaneshwar, Nagarkot and Lahore. When he attacked Mathura, he wrote a letter to his governor saying that nobody can build such a grand city in a period of even 200 years with lakhs of dinars. It was next to impossible to build such a grand city. It took 20 days for Mahmud to destroy the city. In 1025, Mahmud set out from Ghazni and came down to Peshawar and then Lahore. The cities were already conquered by him earlier. Then he went to Multan or Mulastan, which was already previously destroyed and the only place where Islamic converts thrived. And then he went to Sambhar, and from there to Anhalwar and then Somnath. On the way, he was attacked by small Rajput clans. He also massacred a town. And then, history repeated itself. Vinayak Damodar Savarkar had once said that when you don't learn from history, history takes revenge on your future. That's the exact same thing which happened. The people of Bharat did not learn from what happened with Raja Dahir, why he lost, and the reason was complacency. Not learning that what your enemy is doing, what he has already done previously in Sindh, and now in Mathura, Thaneshwar, and now in Somnath. The Hindu kings followed the code of not touching the common men and women and not touching or destroying the temple sites. What we never learned was that the enemy does not follow this code. The enemy was there to loot you, to impose power on you, and to destroy your culture. 50,000 Solankis begged Mahmud of Ghazni to not destroy their temple, their god. They thought that their god was so strong, Somnath was so strong that he would save the people, but they forgot the basic philosophy, the basic principle of Somnath, which is Rudravatar. It is you who has to take inspiration from Somnath and fight the invader. You have to use your brain and identify the invader and fight him. If you don't learn anything from the god you worship, what will happen is you will be slaughtered. That's exactly what happened next. Mahmud of Ghazni, after a very brave last stand, which I would say, after slaughtering people, after slaughtering cows inside the temple, he went in and demolished the idol of Somnath and then razed the temple to the ground. When he was offered wealth and money in return of not touching the temple, he said that if he does this, then he will be known as a merchant of idols. And he didn't want to be known as that. He wanted to be known as a Gazi. And therefore, even after he was offered money and wealth and power, he chose to destroy the temple, which is basically destroying the culture of the land. And this is the third reason which drove the campaigns of Mahmud of Ghazni, and how it is true and not some propaganda. Mahmud looted 20 million dinars from Somnath. Till now, Mahmud had seen victories from Laghman, Peshawar, Mathura, Thaneswar, Nagarkot and Lahore. Although he was defeated in Kashmir and faced a draw by Vidyadhar Chandela, he never met a formidable Maharaja who would actually scare Mahmud until he attacked Somnath and angered Raja Bhoj Parmar of Ujjain. When the news of demolition reached Bhojraj, he was angered and soon left Ujjain with a great army to Somnath. According to the Udaipur Prashasti, Bhoja's army defeated the Turushkas, who are identified to be the Ghaznavids. Bhojraj had also contributed his army to the Hindu army of the Hindu Shahi dynasty. Raja Bhoj led his army to Somnath, but by that time Mahmud had left because he wanted to avoid any confrontation with Raja Bhoj. And all of this has been recorded by Mahmud's chroniclers as well. He took a longer route to take precaution. On the way, he met a Hindu merchant who agreed to show him the way. As days passed, Mahmud's army walked miles and got nothing but desert. They were struggling for water and food, and they had a constant fear of being attacked by Raja Bhoj. After struggling for days in the desert, Mahmud caught hold of the merchant who was showing him the way. He asked him, why haven't we reached a comfortable area, a more safer environment yet? You have been leading us through desert since so many days. And that's when he came to know that merchant was leading his army into circles and leading him into desert where he won't find any water, because that was the way he was taking revenge for Somnath and all those people and animals whom he had slaughtered, and the shrine of the god which he valued and had faith in. The merchant wasn't a man of war. He didn't have the courage to take a sword in his hand and kill another person. But he had the courage of leading Mahmud in the wrong direction so that he starves and hopefully does not survive. Well, after this, obviously Mahmud slaughtered the merchant and somehow managed to find way through desert and reach a safer environment. And that safer environment which he thought where he would be safe, he was wrong, because the Jat tribes of that area, which is basically the Punjab area, attacked him in guerrilla warfare techniques on his way back. After looting 20 dinars and after slaughtering so many people, he thought he could get away easily. Raja Bhoj, who was following Mahmud with his army and hoped to take revenge of Somnath, there is nothing written in anywhere that he fought Mahmud, but many of the Indian chroniclers have mentioned Raja Bhoj fighting a very big Turkish army in Sindh region. So it is not sure if it was he confronted Mahmud, but it is surely true that he had fought and pushed back a Turkish invasion. After the death of Mahmud of Ghazni, the Ghaznavid influence of northern Punjab region was almost gone. All the Rajputs and Jat kings had taken over their land again. Remember, I told you about a person called Sayyid Salar Masud, who was the nephew of Mahmud of Ghazni? Yes. After the death of Mahmud of Ghazni, even he wanted to achieve glory and attack the land of Bharat, which was well known for its immense wealth. Masud, at the age of 16, sought the permission of the then Ghaznavid ruler and launched a campaign into India. Even as a child, Masud used to participate in the campaigns of his uncle Mahmud of Ghazni. In fact, it was him who had suggested Mahmud of Ghazni to not listen to anyone and go and demolish the idol of Somnath, whereas Wazir Khwaja Hassan Mahmudi had suggested Mahmud of Ghazni to not touch the idol. Crossing the Sindhu river or Indus, he conquered Multan and after 18 months reached Delhi, which he captured with reinforcements from Ghazni. He stayed in Delhi for 6 months. Then he took Meerut and advanced to Kannauj, where he was welcomed as a friend. Establishing his base at Satrik, he sent forces to capture Bharich, Gopamau and Banaras. Local rulers formed an alliance but were defeated by his father Salar Sahu. Masud continued his expeditions thereafter. Skirmishes between the Raja of Bharich and the Ghaznavid forces continued until the arrival of Suheldev. He was the eldest son of Raja Moradhwaj, whom Masud's father had defeated. Raja Moradhwaj had formed a confederacy of nearby village chiefs. In 1033 CE, Masud arrived in Bharich to fully subjugate the Hindu chiefs. He discovered the ruins of a sun god temple near a sacred reservoir and expressed a strong desire to build a mosque there. Masud wanted to destroy the infidel structures just like his uncle, but he was confronted by Raja Suheldev. The winds of battle started blowing and both sides prepared for a confrontation. Raja Bhoj Parmar is said to have joined the battle or at least sent troops for Suheldev's aid. The battle began with the sound of drums and war horns. Both sides clashed. Suddenly the Ghaznavid lines started breaking and Suheldev cut his way through the enemy lines and reached Salar Masud. Masud was killed in battle and the confederacy of the Hindu kings won.
This is the proper example of united we win and divided we fall. The strong Ghaznavid pursuance of Bharat wavered after these events. Slave commander after slave commander took over the region of Kabul until, after 100 years after Masud's invasion, there was a person, a formidable ruler who rose to power in the region of Kabul. After a lot of clan wars, this person, known as Mahmud of Ghor or Muhammad Ghori, came into power in the region of Kabul. He saw Mahmud of Ghazni as his idol and he wanted to become a Gazi like him. He hailed from the region of Afghanistan and then attacked the Ghaznavids who were there in the region of Khyber Pass. And now Muhammad of Ghor had access to mainland Bharat, the land of infidels, the place of extreme wealth, sciences, philosophy. Now he had a chance to become Gazi.